A man, a plan, a canal, Panama? More like con man, no plan, a band, Iowa.
Oh yeah, I gotta open this. It's tradition now. We do this.
Mm-hmm.
Now the podcast can begin.
Yep, I'll take a sip of my Des Moines tap water. Delicious.
Yeah, how's the waterworks doing? Are you allowed to drink that now?
Yeah, I mean, it's more like you've always been allowed to. It's just, do you really want to? And
Drinking not advised.
I haven't got around to the reverse osmosis, but soon.
Yeah?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know the state's not going to take care of you, so...
Absolutely not.
Yeah,
Everyone
right.
for their own, unfortunately.
That's the world we live in right now. Take care of yourself and your family. Don't care about anyone else. That's the American way. Rock Hard Caucus, episode 213, starting now. I do have a window open, so I apologize in advance to the listeners for any sounds of nature or sounds of motorcycles that may interrupt the following podcast.
Yeah, didn't you have a car parked outside playing Cream by Wu-Tang Clan the other day? Like, that would be cool, honestly. I think they should do that during the recording.
Yeah, I was getting ready. I think it was school day, and I was sitting here, and I heard, like, Wu-Tang faintly. And I looked outside, and there's a car just stopped right across from my house. It's a public service.
Yeah, it's a classic album.
Yeah. Well, Evan, we've got a lot of stuff to talk about today, and we're not going to talk about all of it. This is kind of a running theme recently, is that I don't know, there's just too much news happening.
Yeah.
So we're going to start out with like a real bummer, and then
the president might be dead. He might be dead. Yeah, there's people talking about that. That would be
That's
really
not
sad.
The bummer that I was referring to.
Oh, you wouldn't be sad a little bit?
I would be thrilled. Wait,
yeah.
Should I say? should I? Be
I think
that?
that's fine. I mean, I think that's fine. I think it doesn't feel quite the same as when he got COVID, and I don't know. It seems like I don't know. There might be something going on, but I don't know. There's a lot of weird liberal conspiracy mongering going on.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I'd be a little bit concerned because, you know, what comes next, but I think that ultimately he is the cult of personality surrounds him. And without him at the center of it, a lot of this fractures even more than it already has. I don't know. Will the spell break with him? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Probably not fully, but I think they lose some effectiveness without him at the top.
Yeah.
Okay, but the real bummer I was going to get to. For those of us, you know, I assume a lot of our listeners pay close attention to the ongoing genocide in Palestine. The Israeli state's abhorrent actions over, you know, its entire existence, but especially the last couple of years. They killed a number of journalists. Was that just 1 week ago? It was very recently. It was actually this Monday. Yeah, according to this article. You know, it's very easy to lose track of how often and how many journalists they have targeted and killed.
How many hospitals they've bombed.
Yeah.
Double tap strikes on a fucking hospital.
That's what this was. It was
fucking evil.
A strike on a hospital, killing a bunch of journalists. Was this the one where they said they were targeting a Hamas camera? Or was that a different one?
I believe it was. Yeah.
Again, hard to keep track because they are constantly doing this evil shit with the full backing of our government. So, I wouldn't blame you if you hadn't tuned into this specific event because we all are used to it. Unfortunately, this is what they're doing with
it's overwhelming.
Our government support, like our tax dollars, etc.
By design, it's overwhelming, I think. Yeah.
But we should take a moment to acknowledge this particular incident among all the others. We should be trying our best to not turn away and turn our backs on these people regardless. But There's a piece in the Cedar Rapids Gazette by Tom Barton, came out a couple days ago. Headline is Palestinian Journalist Remembered by Iowa Relatives for Relentless Pursuit of Truth. So just the fact that there is a local connection to this, so we don't forget that, like, this is not simply something happening far away that has no bearing on us and our lives here in Iowa. No, it does. The people of Palestine have been displaced from their home, and so they end up places like here, So there's people all over connected directly to the people being targeted and killed by the Israeli state. Relatives of Mariam Abu Daga say the 33-year-old Palestinian photojournalist gave everything she had for her work and her people, her safety, her health, and ultimately her life. I will just give additional emphasis to 33-year-old Palestinian photojournalist.
That's just tragic. I mean, younger than us and done much more in her life than both of us combined.
Yes. Yeah, way more, much bigger contributions to the human race than, probably anyone we know.
Yeah.
Daga was among 5 journalists killed Monday in an Israeli strike on a hospital in Khan Yunis, Gaza. Apologies if I pronounced that wrong. She's being remembered as a fearless reporter who bore witness to the war's mounting toll while quietly carrying burdens of her own. She freelanced for the Associated Press and other news organizations, capturing harrowing images of Palestinian families displaced from homes, people crowding around aid trucks, mourners attending funerals, and doctors treating wounded or malnourished children. And this is a quote from her cousin, Maisa Abu Daga, who lives here in Coralville, where I am speaking right now. She was everywhere in Gaza, risking her life, risking everything at the same time, taking care of family members. She entered every house in Gaza. She ate with them. She lived with them. A little background on her cousin. Maisa Abu Daga grew up in Gaza and moved to the United States in 2006. She's 46 years old, a clinical pharmacist. She graduated from the University of Iowa in 2023 with a doctorate. So, cousin who lives right here, my neighbor. I don't know her address, but I'm sure Coralville's not that big. And is a cousin of this journalist who was killed by Israel. The whole article has more information and gets into, the danger of being a journalist in Gaza because Israel doesn't want these things to be reported on objectively.
Yeah,
I don't know. What else can we say, Evan? What can we say about this? Nothing we say really amounts to anything.
I don't know.
What are we doing? I hate this.
I don't know. I mean, this article is in the Gazette, and I don't know. I've not been following how much the Gazette has been talking about Palestine. Probably not a whole lot, but this is, I don't know. It just strikes me how different the reporting is now versus, 2023, early 2024.
Yeah.
Where,
totally.
I mean, the same things were happening, but there was so much more spin around it. Like, weapons caches in hospitals. It was an accident. There was actually Hamas fighters there, whatever. And like all these people trying to spin it. And now it's like, there is no way to spin it at all. Like they're specifically like, they fucking bombed a hospital and then they bombed the hospital again when first responders and reporters came to the assistance. Like just beyond evil, just incredibly sick.
Yeah.
And,
I control F'd Hamas in this article just to, let's see how Tom Barton reports on this now. I found this interesting. Israel's initial findings included an unsubstantiated claim that 6 of the victims were militants, including a hospital health worker and a civil defense driver, though no proof was provided. Observers noted that emergency workers operating under Gaza's Hamas-run government have been repeatedly labeled militants in past incidents, often without corroboration. So to your point, is this the way that this paragraph would have been written a few months ago even?
Right. Yeah, I thought that was surprising, for sure.
Yeah. Will we learn any lessons from this? American journalists. Will you be maybe less inclined to believe the justifications and explanations from apartheid states in the future? Mm-hmm. Or is this what we need to happen every time? thousands and thousands of innocent people murdered before you start to think, maybe that narrative was false from the beginning. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
It's not good. We need to, this needs to not happen in the future.
Yeah.
What can we do? Evil people controlling the militaries of the world, the money of the world. We know the score.
Yeah.
Action is needed. To put it extremely broadly, action is needed.
Yeah.
All right. Speaking of Coralville, listeners who have been paying attention to the show for the past few weeks know that I've been hyper focused on flock cameras because my city signed a contract without anyone really knowing what was going on to install a number of flock safety automated license plate reader cameras here in my city. Evan, you watched a video about this yesterday, right? You sent me a link. I didn't watch it. So did you learn anything important from that?
I did learn some stuff. It's Ben Jordan, Ben with 2 N's. He's like a synthesizer guy originally, but he's been doing some pretty good videos about like putting noise into songs to make like AI unable to like detect
cool.
genre.
Yeah.
Like it's some interesting stuff about that. And he did have some stuff about how to possibly disrupt these cameras from working that may or may not be illegal. But yeah, no, I think the most interesting thing that I took away from it is that, Flock is basically just a data provider. I mean, these police, and that's kind of what, that contract with Coralville was. It's like a subscription plan. So all of the data is owned by Flock. And we know that, like, there's been cases where the data they provided has been incorrect. They have had cases where the license plate reader didn't work correctly, and then just like a random family gets like held at gunpoint in a parking lot.
Yeah.
Shit like that. And like, there is really no, there's so many different ways that data could be accessed, and the fact that they're sharing data between obviously they have like opt-out clauses, but just the way the data is being shared and stored is very scattershot, and there's a lot of potential areas for abuse or data being shared without anyone's consent or knowledge.
Okay, and all that Evan's saying, that might concern you if you are a person who, let's say, drives a car in an urban area. Does that describe you, listener? Do you ever drive a car on paved roads? But, maybe now is the time for me to play this. I attended my local city council meeting this past Tuesday, and, this has been an explosive issue. It hit the news. We've been talking about it here. Lots of people on both sides of this issue, people who think the cameras would be a good tool, people who think that this is a violation of privacy. They have concerns with the company itself and this mass data collection and data sharing, the potential for abuse, potential for hacks or data breaches.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that the people considering this, people who sign this contract, don't seem to really reckon with, is that even if everything, like, nobody really breaks any rules, that massive amount of data, that huge database, is such a target,
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you know a person's license plate and you find a way to access this database, everywhere that person has been. Even the people who have legal access to it, some of them might be bad actors as well. Once you get enough cops around the country to see the data, some of them might be nefarious actors.
Not even
continue.
Law enforcement, but they're sharing it with like private businesses. Like Lowe's and Home Depot in particular have apparently bought access to some of these cameras and are be able to correlate like your movements with your vehicle with like who you are, what you purchase in the store, like all of this other information that is used to identify you as an individual,
right?
Versus like a random license plate.
And this is also close to home. I don't know. Lowe's, we have a Lowe's here in Coralville. They have these ALPRs at the entrances and exits of their parking lot. So that's happening here as well. Okay, what I was going to play. I have a video of the city council meeting. And obviously, Evan and I have made our feelings clear on this technology, this company. And over the years, we've made our feelings clear on policing in general. But let's be fair. Let's give the other side a chance to speak their mind. We rarely do that here on Rock Hard Caucus. This is not a fair program most of the time. But I thought this would be a good example. There's a local real estate man named Rex Brandstatter here in Coralville who presents himself as kind of like he calls himself Mr. Coralville. All right? And I have an issue with that, of course.
Yeah, for real.
But he buys and sells all the property in town, so that kind of makes him in charge, right? And he has thoughts on these cameras, and he came to speak at the city council meeting. So let's hear from him now. This is Rex.
Good evening, Mayor and the City Council. I'm Rex Brandstatter, and I live here in Coralville. Here tonight to support our hardworking and safety-minded Coralville Police Department in their offering to utilize license plate reading cameras at 3 locations here in Coralville. In their daily attempt to keep we, the citizens of Coralville, safe, they need the best equipment and the best technology available. These high-tech cameras are in use across the United States and right here in the immediate area around Coralville as we sit here. By using the cameras that capture a photo of the rear license plate of that is on the official want list locally, statewide, or nationally.
Damn. Got the high gain microphone.
He's animated. He's got a real cadence and rhythm to his manner of speaking.
Our men and women of the Coralville Police Department can attempt to locate that vehicle. Not for speeders, not for a missing taillight, only for, quote, bad guys, so to speak.
Evan, are you a bad guy or a good guy?
I don't buy into the false binary there. I'm just a guy.
Yeah. This comes up with cops a lot, actually. I remember, I don't know if you've ever had like maybe a workplace training where a cop comes in and like tells you, so in this space, this is what you should do if like a guy comes in with a gun and just starts shooting everybody around you. You ever had a workplace training like that?
I have, but not with an actual cop. That would have.
Oh,
yeah,
really?
I mean,
okay.
Yeah. I mean, definitely active shooter drills.
Yeah. That's one of those. Shooter. It wasn't a drill, but it was like a, let's just talk about it.
Yeah.
Whenever I hear somebody use bad guy in this way, I think back to one of those, and like, I probably was like, this was probably close to 10 years ago, and just sitting there hearing a cop talk about bad guys, and in my mind, I'm like, dude, you're like a 60-year-old man. Do you really like think about the world like this?
Yeah. Watch too many Marvel movies. Though I guess they're getting more ambiguous now. But no, I remember watching like a video, now that I think about it, when I worked at CenturyLink. And it had cops in it, but it was very fucking funny, honestly. Like, yeah, because it's like, I don't see how this is going to be applicable to like literally anything I'm doing at my job. Like, like if it happens, then like, what am I really going to do? I'm going to like hide or run. Like, I mean, I guess that's kind of what they told you to do, but anyway. Yeah.
Don't be a hero. That's really the message of those types of trainings. Yeah. But yeah, this just the simplicity, the childishness of this. Oh, this is only to catch bad guys. The implication, of course, being everybody in here who's concerned about the privacy implications and the potential targeting of, vulnerable populations. Well, are you a bad guy? You shouldn't be concerned about this unless you're a bad guy. I'm a good guy. That's why I love the police and these cameras.
The bad guys come here or through Coralville with drugs to sell to our local youth, drug pushers, and our citizens. They could also be transporting children from their families by the estranged mother or father, or outright have been kidnapped. The bad guys simply pull into Coralville to gas up, get something to eat, and maybe get a hotel room around back so nobody sees them, and then they leave in the morning.
around back.
Those are some really bad guys. They hang out around back, not even in front. I mean, come on.
Yeah,
You're hiding
around
something.
back. Yeah. If you go to a hotel and you ask for a room and you say, could I get one of those around back rooms? There's sort of a button under the desk that the clerk presses immediately.
Yeah.
Let's keep hearing from Rex.
No harm, no foul, because nobody knew they were here. All the while, the people of Coralville are not aware of even who is in our town. This afternoon, I took a pretty popular bus route that I use quite a bit. And as I was sitting there, minding my own business, waiting to get downtown, I noticed up there was a plaque that read something like this. It said, this vehicle has visual and audio recording that are being recorded right now. So the city of Coralville, we're standing right here, you're videotaping everybody in here. You've got it on our buses. I have cameras at my buildings here in Coralville. We've helped the police find a bank robber and solve a big crash at City Hall at the fire department. And so I think it's another tool for the citizens of Coralville to know that our police department have these cameras. I fully support this, and I have a petition here for other members. Thank you.
Bring it up.
Sure.
All right. Who's next on the list?
All right. So they solved a bank robbery.
Mm-hmm.
I don't recall a bank robbery here in Coralville. I'm sure he's not lying about that, but I wouldn't say that's a frequent occurrence. We do not live in Gotham City.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of these people are getting like closed circuit, like surveillance cameras confused with, these flock cameras, which is kind of a whole different animal.
It is. But a point that people who are arguing in support of these cameras, one point that they kept reiterating is that, well, you're already being filmed all the time in public anyway.
Yeah.
And I guess they don't find that concerning. like I know that, and I think that that's bad. I don't think it's particularly good that every single home has an Amazon-controlled camera pointing from their front door.
Yes, which also share data with law enforcement or... Yeah, I don't know. There's some shady stuff going on there, too, as you might imagine.
All the time. Yeah. Yeah, being recorded on the bus, I don't know it's not really the same thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's even really comparable. Let me play some clips from a member of the city council. His name is Rich Vogelzang, and he seems to share Rex Branstadter's position on this. He thinks... okay, I would summarize it this way. The police department asked for these cameras, and therefore they are needed, and anything the police department asks for, they get. I think that is the position of Coralville City Councilor Rich Vogelzang. And I apologize to listeners for how hyper-local this is, but I do think that it is relevant to probably your local politics as well. There are guys like this everywhere. More and more cities are considering installing cameras like this.
Cameras like this everywhere. There's a ton in Des Moines. I know that.
Mm-hmm. Cedar Rapids has like 75 of these. Yeah. I learned this week that Dubuque has more than license plate cameras. They have like city-owned CCTV cameras basically everywhere. Like you cannot be outside in Dubuque without the police department recording your whereabouts. I don't think I'm even exaggerating. That's pretty much the state of things in Dubuque from what I have been reading. And they claim that they have a 90% solve rate for their crimes because they are monitoring everywhere. I don't think that's possible, but they claim that
seems
solved
seems awfully high.
90% of all crimes in Dubuque. So you want to go to look, there's a trade-off, You're always being recorded, but you will never be the victim of an unsolved crime. I guess it depends on what you want. So let's hear from Rich Vogelzang, Coralville councilor. A little bit of his thoughts here.
I'll go ahead. I mean, I appreciate any issue can certainly stir up conversations and feelings on both sides of the issue. And discussions and debates are absolutely important. And I do appreciate hearing from both sides of the issue.
And without having to play the entire meeting video for you, do you think one of these particular sides might have had more people speaking than the other? This was not a balanced debate. There were a lot of people there to speak out against the cameras, and a few were speaking in support, but not zero.
I do appreciate hearing from actual end users who have actually had personal experience with license plate reader cameras. I do appreciate that.
The end users being the cops who use the cameras and look at all the data.
Not the people being filmed.
Yeah.
I should be considered a user if I'm being, my camera or my car is being filmed.
I looked it up.
I'm skipping ahead a bit. The word tracking came up a lot because, in essence, if there are enough of these cameras on whatever roads you're taking to get places, you are being tracked, right? If there's enough data being recorded about where you are at certain times, that is essentially tracking your movements.
The definition of tracking is the act and the process of actually following someone or something, which means a tracking.
Wow. Thanks for that.
You want to track your package coming from Amazon, you can get online and track it. Where is it? What time and when is it?
Oh my God.
And these cameras are not designed to do that.
All right.
They're not designed to do that. It's just an unintended consequence that they're able to do that.
It just kind of does that anyway. I mean, functionally, that's not really different from tracking your Amazon package, right?
Yeah. I don't know
In fact,
about that.
It's kind of the same, I think. Isn't it? If you want to track the package that's coming to you, it shows you where it is and how far it is from your house. The location of the vehicle at a specific time. That's the same data as what's being recorded by the license plate cameras. Vehicle location with a timestamp. It's the same. Anyway, there's also one little bit of Rich that I wanted to play here. Somebody speaking at the meeting brought up a few Supreme Court cases, and I guess what's being discussed here is what is protected by the Fourth Amendment? What do we have a right to privacy over? What about us do we have the right to keep private from our government and law enforcement?
I mean, how big is that community?
I don't know off the top of my head.
Okay.
It's a big naval base, I know. So.
Yeah.
I just Googled, I entered it, and it said, are license plates protected by the Fourth Amendment? What popped up?
He almost said commandment there. I don't know if you caught that. Okay, so he Googled, are license plates protected by the Fourth Amendment?
Up on Google was, no, license plates are generally not protected by the Fourth Amendment because they are considered to be in plain view in a public space, and therefore there is no reasonable expectation of privacy for them. Consequently, police officers do not need probable cause or a warrant to scan license plates, even with automatic license plate readers, as this is seen as collecting publicly exposed information rather than an unreasonable search. Why our license plates aren't protected is because they're in public information. License plates are required by law to be visible to the public. Supreme Court's precedent states that information knowingly exposed to the public is not protected by the Fourth Amendment. Using license plate scanners is considered a more efficient method of collecting public information than an officer could otherwise see with their own eyes, which is not a violation of privacy rights.
Okay. So I don't know if you've used Google recently, but if you Google a question like that, and what he said was, this is what pops up.
Yeah.
which means he was reading what?
AI.
Google AI summary.
Yeah.
He was not the opponents of this were citing specific court cases and precedent and things like that, which I think most of us in the audience were not legal experts, but were citing actual information, and it's all been rebutted with this. Oh, I just read a Google AI summary.
I read a Google thing that
asking
is
this question I've never considered before tonight.
Based on like narrow like interpretation of like, oh yeah, a cop can like if he's behind you, he can read your fucking license plate or whatever. Versus like, oh, we have like these 80,000 cameras across the country that are like storing information, metadata, like tracking
on basically
between
every license plate.
Yeah, every single car that drives by and sharing it with like the entire like network. Like, I don't know if that case law really applies to this specific use of license plate readers.
Yeah, it's a rather expanded use of this publicly visible information about yourself, you know? And the whole time I was thinking that that's really kind of beside the point, you know? Like, we're allowed to do this is basically the police department's argument. Like, you know, we're allowed to do it, but I guess should you? Like there are consequences to you doing this. Oh, I mean, one, that's not even necessarily a solved dispute. Are you allowed to do this legally? There are lawsuits like active right now about this very thing that have not been resolved. We don't know for sure that the courts will decide in your favor. I mean, I wouldn't bet against it, but but also, should you do it? Just because it's not regulated now, you know, I don't think that the benefits, like the occasional, you'll find a stolen car, I don't think that that outweighs the liability of every car's movements being collected in a massive database that is accessible by thousands of
literally who knows.
Yeah, completely unvetted like cops and whoever at Lowe's is like searching the database.
Yeah. Or like we've seen like ICE just goes to, you know, I think the 404 Media article, there's a 404 Media article that came out. Basically, they went to like Boulder, Colorado Police Department and said, hey, can we use your cameras? Which also happened to, you know, be receiving data from every other fucking police department in the country, basically.
Yes. And that's a good time to bring this up. 404 Media article from August 25th. So again, just these articles are constantly coming out every week. New stories about this company, Flock Safety, and its cameras and the dire consequences of the mass proliferation of these cameras. But yeah, Jason Keebler at 404 Media on August 25th published CBP had access to more than 80,000 Flock AI cameras nationwide. CBP, Customs and Border Patrol. Now, we mentioned this before. When I pulled up the University of Iowa Police Department's Flock Safety Transparency Portal, that U.S. Border Patrol had access to their data a few weeks ago when we were first talking about this. Despite immigration enforcement being a prohibited use, in quotes, prohibited use of Flock Safety camera data. What other reason would U.S. Border Patrol have to be looking at this? But yeah, since this article came out, U.S. Border Patrol has disappeared from all of the transparency portals. They no longer have at least public-facing access to all of these cameras' data. Flock said it has paused all federal pilots after police departments said they didn't realize they were sharing access with Customs and Border Patrol. CBP regularly searched more than 80,000 Flock automated license plate reader cameras, according to data released by 3 police departments. The data shows that CBP's access to Flock's network is far more robust and widespread than has been previously reported. One of the police department's 404 Media spoke to said it did not know or understand that it was sharing data with CBP. And Flock told 404 Media Monday that it has paused all federal pilots. So Flock comes to your community and sells these cameras to your local police as like, this is a necessary tool in your fight against the bad guys. This will increase your efficiency. You will never let a kidnapping victim leave the borders of your town ever again. If you install these cameras, there might be some side effects, but you need this. You need this. Do you really want to allow human trafficking in your neighborhood? You must buy these cameras. Meanwhile, the police departments that install the cameras, buy the cameras, whatever, don't even know who they're sharing the data with. Journalists approach them and they say, oh, we didn't know we were sharing this with Border Patrol. How did that happen? How do you accidentally do that? Do you trust your local police department to actually follow through, pay attention to where all this data is being shared?
Yeah. Or do you expect Flock Camera to give a fuck about any of this? No. They're making, they were just valued at like $8 billion in March of this year.
How
they
did
have
they
no
make all that money?
incentive. They have no incentive to put like protections in place. Like,
yeah. How did they make all that money? They're selling the tech and subscriptions to like the service to all of these businesses and police departments all over the place. But it's also been noted that the contract with Coralville seems to be fairly inexpensive. It's like $19,000 or $18,000 a year. You think that they're making $8 billion, $18,000 at a time? Have they sold that many subscriptions? Or how do they get valued so highly? Could it be that they're sitting on a mountain of valuable personal data?
yeah.
That is valuable to a lot more purposes than finding stolen cars and missing children? If that's all it's doing, I don't see how the company can be valued at $8 billion. Because that doesn't, those are serious crimes that don't happen, super often. So somebody must be seeing this as useful and valuable in some other ways. There's an email from the company here that I thought was really revealing. A Flock spokesperson told 404 Media Monday that it sent an email to all of its customers clarifying how information is shared from agencies to other agencies. Now, why would they need to do that now? Shouldn't that be part of the purchasing process?
Yeah, you'd think.
Shouldn't that be explained before you set up the camera and opt into the system? This is an excerpt from that email about its sharing options. The Flock platform provides flexible options for sharing. And these are all listed as options under the topic of national sharing. Your first option is to opt in to Flock's national sharing network. Access via the national lookup tool is limited. Users can only see results if they perform a full plate search and a positive match exists within the network of participating opt-in agencies. This ensures data privacy while enabling broader collaboration when needed. Option 2, share with agencies in specific states only, which means that you're sharing with agencies with similar laws, for example, regarding immigration enforcement and data. Okay, I also don't trust this company to stay on top of the laws as they change.
No, absolutely not.
And I'm pretty sure that this article reveals that they've actually been breaking the laws constantly and have not suffered any consequences for doing so. Option 3, share within your state only or within a certain distance. You can share information with communities within a specified mile radius with the entire state or a combination of both. For example, sharing with cities within 150 miles of Kansas City, which would include cities in Missouri and neighboring states, and or all communities statewide simultaneously. Option 4 is share one-to-one. You share only with specific agencies you have selected. And option 5, don't share at all. I would be curious to know how many people have opted for that last one, because that seems to be totally not the point.
No.
Of joining into this.
Yeah.
And we got more quotes from the CEO of this company, Garrett Langley.
Uh-oh. Langley, Virginia?
That sounds... Where have I heard Langley before? While it is true that Flock does not presently have a contractual relationship with any U.S. Department of Homeland Security agencies, we have engaged in limited pilots with the U.S. Customs and Border Protection and Homeland Security investigations to assist those agencies in combating human trafficking and fentanyl distribution. That's all it is. That's all that Homeland Security and Customs and Border Protection, that's all they've been up to the past few months, right?
For real. Yeah.
No. They're fighting human trafficking. They're not trafficking humans. They're not kidnapping random innocent people off the street and throwing them in concentration camps or deporting them to countries they've never been. And you couldn't call that human trafficking, could you? The government's doing it.
Yeah, as long as there's some kind of half-assed legal mechanism, then I guess it's totally above board.
Or if you do it quick enough.
Yeah.
We clearly communicated poorly. We also didn't create distinct permissions and protocols in the Flock system to ensure local compliance for federal agency users. In other words, you allowed federal agents to break the law in using the data that you've been collecting, right? All federal customers will be designated within Flock as a distinct federal user category in the system. This distinction will give local agencies better information to determine their sharing settings. Now, this was in a blog post posted on August 25th. When I was looking at the transparency portal for the University of Iowa Police Department, there was already a federal tag. That's how I found the Border Patrol on there. I Control F federal. So I don't think this was actually a change. I think he's like just making shit up. They were already doing that. I don't know, people catch them doing stuff and they put out these ass-covering statements, which is the domain of the CEO, the tech company CEO.
Absolutely. Right? Yeah.
A Flock employee who does not agree with the way Flock allows for widespread data sharing told 404 Media that Flock has defended itself internally by saying it tries to follow the law. Shout out to this
trying their
whistleblower. Best. Yeah. I do wonder, like, what it feels like to work for this company while you say you don't agree with what they're doing.
Yeah.
You know, props to you for, leaking internal statements to the media, but you probably got to get out of there eventually. This is a quote from this anonymous person. They will defend it as they have been saying. No, they will defend it as they have been by saying Flock follows the law, and if these officials are doing law-abiding official work, then Flock will allow it. However, Flock will also say that they advise customers to ensure they have their sharing settings set appropriately to prevent them from sharing data they didn't intend to. The question more in my mind is the fact that law in America is arguably changing. So will Flock just go along with whatever the customers want? I don't think it's arguable. I think, even before now, we're in a tumultuous time. Even before now, the law is always changing.
Right.
There's no argument against that, I don't think. But you make a good point. Flock will say, we're doing our best to comply with the law, but they're really just going to let their customers use their product as they see fit.
Mm-hmm.
Which in many cases is violating the personal freedoms of normal-ass people. That's law enforcement for you. Before we move on to the next topic, I will mention I also saw this article from Atlanta that says that Flock safety cameras are being used to fight impaired driving, which seems to be outside of the very limited scope that they're trying to sell this to us as. How does a license plate reading camera know that someone's driving drunk? The way you describe this camera to me, how could that possibly be happening? All it's recording is when a car passed it. So how does it know anything about the driver?
Apparently they're using audio from gunshot detectors and correlating it with the visuals from the camera. So I guess gunshot, which is a whole nother thing. Gunshot detection microphones also pick up car accidents, which I guess are often done by drunk people. But yeah, sure. I mean, this is just like the Wild West. I mean, like they just like use the data however the fuck they want and share it with whoever they want. And then like if, whoever wants to access that data, I mean, a lot of it is just like, hey, I got a buddy on this other police force or whatever. Like, can you give me your password?
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah.
It's insane.
You think that's not happening? You think they're not just selling this to like major metropolitan areas either, They're selling these cameras to small towns. And look, not to be an urban elitist, but do you think that every small town police chief is like really up on how data privacy works?
No.
Do they know how to use computers, all of them?
We desperately need GPDR in United States. It's the European Union's data sharing law, where you have to explicitly opt in if you ever are participating with data sharing.
Mm-hmm. And that's each individual user has to opt in, right? Yeah. Yeah, I think it was New Hampshire that has severely regulated the use of these cameras, and hopefully more states will follow suit. Yeah. Oh, I need to make this explicit on the podcast. I went to that city council meeting on Tuesday, right? I talked to a couple of the councilors immediately after the meeting, and the city clerk, Thor, had sent a PDF copy of our city's flock contract with somebody who emailed him. So this was signed by our chief of police back in May, all right? And on the second page of it, the contract, it says retention period 0 days. But the whole time, everyone's been talking about the default retention period, which is 30 days, right? So I see that they signed a contract that says the retention period is 0 days. I'm very curious what we've actually signed up for. And I asked a couple of the counselors after the meeting, so I saw on the contract it says 0 days. What's going on there? You all were saying 30 days in the meeting. And they told me, oh, we haven't seen the contract. We've had multiple city council meetings with dozens of members of the public showing up, talking about this issue. You've been discussing in the meeting a policy on how the data can be used by our police department. You have not seen the contract that's been signed. What?
0 days? That's hard to believe. Because the whole justification is we're retroactively solving crimes.
Mm-hmm.
So they're doing real-time monitoring and then assigning police officers out to check on a car the same day.
They did talk about a hot list thing where, they have a list of license plate where there's a warrant out for a very, big deal crime. And then if that license plate passes the camera, there's an immediate alert. So an instant response thing rather than a retroactive, search the database thing, So I guess if there's a shorter retention period, you can see how the use case would be more towards the instant response rather than whatever. Yeah. But whatever. They haven't seen the contract.
I hope it's 0 days. That seems better, but still bad.
Yeah, it seems some people's concerns might be eased a little bit if they were transparent about that, but they haven't seen the contract. The guy who signed the contract was in the meeting there, never corrected them about what the the retention period is. It just seems everything just seems fake. You're saying you're concerned about this, you haven't even seen the contract? All we had to do was ask a guy to send us the contract, and us, just residents, have seen it. I talked to the mayor for an hour on the phone on Thursday. I brought that up. She also hadn't seen the contract. And that's 2 days later. I emailed them all the PDF. I'm I heard you haven't seen this. Here you go. I'm not trying to be a dick, but what's going on? How can you discuss this without knowing the details? All right. So speaking of ICE and Border Patrol and all that, I do want to mention this, that I'm reading from Paul Brennan's Little Village article here. ICE plans street blockade and checkpoint in Cedar Rapids Tuesday. Immigrant advocates plan protest. There are plans to set up a temporary street blockade and checkpoint outside the ICE field office in Cedar Rapids on Tuesday, Escuchimivos, Iowa, was told by DHS officials this week. This is at Square D Drive Southwest in Cedar Rapids. I went there maybe last month or maybe back in June for a rally in support of people who have to go there for their mandatory immigration check-ins and sometimes don't come back. This is reading from a news release from Escuchimivos, which is a local immigrant advocacy nonprofit. They try to help immigrants in the area who are subject to these cruel and arbitrary, constantly shifting rules from the federal government. Agents within the Department of DHS Federal Protective Services informed Escucha Vos members and Catholic workers they plan to erect a checkpoint and blockade on September 2nd, shutting down Square D Drive, parts of the front lawn, and the alley connecting the ICE office to the neighboring buildings and parking lot. According to FPS, that was, again, Federal Protective Services, the blockade will include squad cars, officers from multiple federal, state, and local agencies, along with caution tape and barricades. So basically, the last couple times that they have had their immigration check-in days at this DHS office, a lot of people have showed up to show support for the people who have to go through this process. And they don't want that. They don't want a bunch of people there. So they're shutting the street down with multiple federal agents, they say.
It's almost like they don't want people to show up to these check-ins.
Right,
like,
yeah.
I mean, that's part of it, I would imagine. Like, I don't know, if I'm an immigrant and I go to my check-in and I see a bunch of fucking, like, the road is blocked off and there's a bunch of fucking, like, cop cars and, like, federal agencies there. Like, that's pretty fucking scary. I mean, the whole thing is scary, but...
Yeah. You mean like the people who are supposed to show up there for their scheduled appointments. Yeah. Definitely making it more and more intimidating, making it harder and harder to, quote, follow the rules, which... they claim, or at least they used to claim, you follow the rules and then everything's fine, you know? Yeah, here's some context. On August 5th, there was a rally outside the Cedar Rapids ICE field office as volunteers and members of Escucha Vos and the Catholic Worker accompanied immigrants residing in eastern Iowa to their scheduled check-in. Hundreds of people came out to support the immigrants. And despite that show of support, 3 of the people who went to their check-in were then detained by ICE. So basically, they're anticipating an escalation, you know, and they want to preempt that by blocking off, you know, a 3-block area. Like, nope, you're not allowed to come in here. It's already a very inhospitable area of town. You know, it's
Square D Drive. That's like a electrical manufacturer. Like they make like breaker boxes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's just like this shitty little DHS office, and like across the street is a warehouse. It's and they know that you can't get there basically without parking somewhere nearby. So if they, I don't know if this is in the article, but what I heard is that they're going to talk to local businesses and encourage them to disallow parking on their properties. And it's not a human being friendly area of town. You know, pedestrians, you're going to have a hard time getting there without getting a vehicle close. So I guess I bring it up because, you know, people should try to go anyway. If you're just like a white Iowan and you're nearby, you're free at that time. I think it's 7:30 a.m. There is a rally scheduled at 7:30 a.m. This is at 3351 Square D Drive Southwest. You know, try to get there. They're going to keep escalating this, and it needs to be made worse and worse for these evil people. Let's do one more thing.
Let's do it. What do you got? Joni Ernst?
That's probably the most relevant thing, isn't it?
Yeah. We were going to talk about the Taylor Lorenz Democratic influencers being paid by, you know, some dark money group, which was a fun time. Maybe we'll get to that later.
It's very funny.
It is a very funny story.
A bunch of influencers are on the take from this weird quote nonprofit, but it's really like a dark money pack.
They are speaking very quickly into front-facing cameras to defend themselves.
All right, but yeah, more relevant to local news. Joni Ernst, you remember her from
Well, We All Are Going to Die.
Her recent hit, We All Are Going to Die. She has, well, I guess it hasn't been confirmed, but it's going to happen. She's going to announce that she's not running for re-election.
It was supposed to happen on Thursday, I guess, according to sources, but then no announcement happened. So I don't know. Maybe she changed her mind. Maybe she changed her mind.
Awesome.
That would be so funny.
She's kind of a defiant person, as we saw in the We All Are Going to Die controversy. She's not here to please you, liberal. Joni Ernst will not seek re-election in 2026, according to two people familiar with her decision, setting off a major upheaval in one of Iowa's marquee midterm contests. I'm reading from Stephen Gruber Miller and Brianne Pfaffensteel's piece in the Des Moines Register from Friday. It says, it was updated on Friday. All right. Ernst's campaign did not respond to a request for comment. Yeah, there's just a bunch of background on, like, her political career here. But it's expected that Ashley Hinson is going to jump into the Senate race to step in for her. The state of things right now, the only declared candidates on the Republican side for this Senate seat are Jim Carlin, who we talked about recently. He was that Iowa dad-looking guy at the state fair. And Joshua Smith.
Whoa. Joshua Smith? That's a cool name.
Do you know who that is? Okay.
No. Isn't Joshua Smith the Mormon guy? Or no, that's
Joseph Smith.
Joseph Smith. God dang it.
Yeah, he unfortunately has been he passed away a while back, Joseph Smith.
Yeah. Well, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, I didn't read this prior to the episode, but Joshua Smith is a libertarian from Indianola who has previously run for office as a libertarian, but now it's like, oh no, I love Donald Trump and make America great again.
Where are the real libertarians at? They're gone extinct. They're all just true. MAGA people now. Where's Adam Sullivan? I was just thinking about that the other day.
At Liberty. He grew up in a single mother household and joined the military at 18 years old following the September 11th, 2001 attacks. Oh, he hosts a politics and culture podcast called Break the Cycle. Oh boy! All right, maybe we'll
doesn't exist.
Him
That's
more.
fake. Break the Cycle. There's only one podcast in Iowa.
Thank you for reminding me. Yeah, like an anonymous source, I guess, is saying that Hinson is going to go to the next step, run for Senate rather than re-election to her seat in Congress. This is interesting. Hinson raised $854,000 in the most recent fundraising quarter, which is more than the $723,000 that Ernst brought in. Hinson's campaign also did not respond to a request for comment. So a lot of the Democrats who we've been discussing quite frequently who are in the primary for that seat, that would be Zach Walz, Josh Turek, Nathan Sage, Jackie Norris. Did I remember all of them?
I think so. Yeah, J.D. Schulten dropped out.
Yes. They're all like talking like they're excited about it. Jackie Norris said in a statement, Joni Ernst is seeing the writing on the wall that Iowans are ready for change. Now, my view on this is basically that Joni Ernst is compromised by the we're all going to die thing. I don't think you can get away from that.
I think the fact that Hinson raised more money than she did in the last quarter is probably indication that a lot of people are kind of selling Joni shares right now.
I think that, her recent media hits. Well, and there's also like the open secret that she's been like just fucking her way through the VA hospital.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think that's not necessarily a problem. I think you can be a senator and convince all the wounded warriors to cheat on their wives with you.
Well, I just wonder. Doesn't
necessarily mean you're not doing your job.
I just wonder how the Democrats would even like pull that into an attack. Like, it feels like something that they might not even be willing to touch.
I would hope not. I don't think there's any way to do that. The 2026 slut shame campaign. I don't know if that's going to work out.
Yeah.
But the fact that just these embarrassing things keep getting whispered to the media, at least, is like somewhat of a problem probably for running for re-election. Here's the part I really wanted to read though. Nathan Sage, I'm going to call my shot. I don't think he's going to win the primary. I'm sorry to say.
Man, he's my front runner right now. I'm voting for him as of right now. Just because I love the Farmers Fucked Over clip so much.
Yes. But he was quoted here. We just got some great breaking news. Ernst not running makes this seat more attainable for us now. I think this is probably like a video he posted on social media. Obviously, she didn't want to go against a pissed off veteran. She didn't want to go against a pissed off working class individual like myself. he said in a fundraising pitch to supporters.
See, isn't that much more fun than Zach Walls or Joshua Turek? Like,
yeah.
even if he turns out to not really have any, I don't know enough about Nathan Sage to say whether he's another John Fetterman or not, but I don't know. He's more entertaining for right now.
It is more fun. Yeah. Pissed off veteran. That's what POV stands for to me. That's my POV. Okay, let's get this quote too. Iowa Democratic Party Chair Rita Hart criticized Ernst's record in a statement. Joni Ernst is retiring because she knows that Iowans are furious at her and Washington Republicans for threatening our health care and spiking costs for families. No matter which Republican runs for this seat, they can't hide from the harm the GOP has caused to working families across Iowa. Iowans continue to show that they are ready for change, and we will be working overtime to elect a Democrat to represent us in the Senate in 2026. That was coherent. I'm usually not a big fan of Rita Hart, but she said probably the correct thing there.
Yeah. I wonder if, I would assume they probably wanted her to stay in.
I think,
as a compromised candidate versus like Ashley
vulnerable.
Hinson is kind of a blank slate.
Well, I don't know. Like, there is a bit in there about how, like, Joni was kind of waffling on whether she would support Pete Hegseth, which pissed off a lot of the base. And she also voted for I think it was the Defense of Marriage Act. No, Respect for Marriage Act. Sorry. The Respect for Marriage Act, which protected same-sex marriage by guaranteeing federal recognition of any marriage between two people if the union was valid in the state where they wed. That was a Biden thing. So some of the more rabid base were angry at her for those couple of things. Whereas Ashley Hinson has fully committed to being a real piece of shit over the past few years.
Exactly. Yeah.
And is frankly just better at talking.
Yeah, true.
We've watched some Joni Ernst videos recently, and she does not.
Yeah.
It feels like she used to have it, but.
Yeah, they're both saying absolutely nothing. But, Hinson's a little bit more capable at that.
Yeah. She's got the TV background.
Exactly.
I can look into a camera and read some words like nobody's business. Okay, one last thing, also related to state elections. There was a special election for Iowa Senate this week because that guy Rocky DeWitt died a few months ago, and the Democrat won. Is it Stephanie Dre?
Caitlin Dre.
Caitlin Dre. Thank you. There's a Stephanie somewhere.
They're out there. There is a Stephanie out there in Iowa who's running for office.
Definitely is out there. And the Republican was like a crazy guy. I did not follow this very closely at all, but like a super hardcore, like conspiracy theorist, MAGA guy. And so the Democrats put a lot of resources into this, spent a lot of money, sent a lot of volunteers over there, and they won. Okay. So they broke the supermajority in the Iowa Senate just barely, which is, I don't know. What is this indicative of?
Blue wave coming.
Certainly. It absolutely, yeah. They're turning over. I don't know. I mean, it's certainly not a bad thing for the Iowa Democrats that they won a special election. Maybe doesn't mean anything in the grand scheme of things, but in a special election in 2025, a few more people voted for Democrats than Republicans.
Yeah, I think, it was a very hard Trump district, I think. Trump won the district by 11 percentage points and Dre won her seat by 10. So that's a 21-point swing. So that's significant, I would say. But I don't know how
much lower turnout.
Right. That's another thing. I don't know how, representative of that is, as the state as a whole, but
people are more motivated to vote in a special election for the Democrat right now in that district.
Yeah. Yep. I don't know how much you can really extract from that.
But I think that this is the wrong take. I'll say that. This is a quote from Jeff Kaufman, the chair of the Iowa GOP.
Known for his correct takes.
Iowa's Eggman said, about this special election defeat, his party did not win this election. He said, National Democrats were so desperate for a win that they activated 30,000 volunteers and a flood of national money to win a state Senate special election by a few hundred votes. If the Democrats think things are suddenly so great for them in Iowa, they will bring back the caucuses.
Okay.
So, basically what he's saying is, yeah, they won, but it's because they tried harder.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like, oh, yeah, they activated a bunch of volunteers who, like, actually, like, tried.
Yeah. Look, I'm not a big fan of the Iowa Democratic Party. You know this. But the fact that they got 30,000 people to volunteer for a special election state Senate seat, like, good for them. Like, that's how you win an election.
Yeah.
They did something right and they won an election. All right. I get that you're trying to spin this to be in your favor. Republicans do still dominate the politics of Iowa. He's right about that. This doesn't necessarily mean things are going to flip around. Everything's going back blue, but he's mad.
He's very mad.
I did tweet at him to see if he had anything to say about Joni Ernst, her impending announcement. He has not responded. Iowa GOP Chair Jeff Kaufman did not respond to a request for comment on the Joni Ernst situation. I do think that last bit he said is interesting. If the Democratic Party nationally thinks that Iowa's going to turn around, they will bring back the caucuses. He might be right. If they thought that Iowa was really in play, they might bring the First in the Nation caucus back.
They're trying. I mean, there's been discussions.
The state party's trying. I don't think that the national party has any interest in reverting back to that.
Absolutely not.
Yeah. I hope it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Oh, I think one of my recordings stopped. Anyway,
oh my gosh.
I'll deal with it afterwards. Well, Evan, that's been the podcast.
It sure has, Justin.
Let's just plug a few things and then we'll leave.
Yes.
All right. This is a big week. Before I get into the upcoming events, I do want to, since immigration played a big role in the subject matter today, another plug for the Iowa Migrant Movement for Justice, iowammj.org. If you want to help out with the situation, it's a big problem. Mm-hmm. We need to do what we can to protect people in our community.
They just posted a video of some suspected ICE agents outside of a home in Des Moines.
Yeah, I saw that. Masked, concealing their identities, wandering around somebody's house, looking in windows and
wearing
shit.
shirts that say police.
One of them had a vest that said U.S. Marshal.
Oh, I didn't see that. Either way, they're apparently disguising themselves as other police agencies.
Yeah.
Very fucked up.
Yeah, fuck them. Okay. Upcoming events, though. This Thursday, September 4th, Rob Sand will be doing a town hall in Johnson County. I know a lot of people in Johnson County listen to this podcast and might want to go there and ask Rob Sand, gubernatorial candidate, some questions. Mm-hmm. It's at Field Day in North Liberty at 5:30 p.m. I will be attending incognito, wearing a Rob Sand t-shirt.
Justin's going to cut his mutton chops.
I'm not that committed. I got to keep my look. I do wonder what happens when I show up to a Rob Sand event at this point.
Sir, can you please stand over here?
I think he needs to be asked about the implications of the money that he has received from his wife's family.
I think he needs to be asked quite a few questions.
Yeah. Well, the day after that, this Friday, September 5th, I will be playing tenor saxophone with the band Lou Sherry as part of the Friday night concert series in Iowa City. It's on the Ped Mall. It's free. I don't know what time it starts. just go to the Ped Mall as soon as you're done with work on Friday. 6:30 is when the show starts. And I'll be playing the second half of the Lou Sherry set. They're the first band. I've practiced with them a few times. I don't like practicing usually, but we're ready. We've practiced. It'll be good. And a couple weeks after that, I'll be playing at the Iowa City Public Space 1 Close House on September 20th. Weapon X, my duo with Will Yeager, a bass and saxophone duo, Weapon X, were opening for Rashadicus, who is known as the infamous cello goblin. You've maybe seen his videos on social media. I'm hoping that there's a big draw to that because he has quite the following online.
Yeah, sounds sick.
Should be fun. Listeners, if you'd like to weigh in on any subjects we touched on today, for example, convincing wounded soldiers to cheat on their wives with you, if you've ever been there, any part of that situation,
Yeah.
spill the beans, gossip with us.
Jody contingent and the Joni contingent. Reach out.
Yeah. Yes. The phone number is 319-849-8733. Leave us a voicemail about your experiences having been cheated on with a U.S. senator. Or if you're a U.S. senator and you want to call it. I mean,
Yeah.
that'd be fun.
We've never had, well, I guess we have had some elected Democrats call in. Elected officials.
It's true. It's true. We do use those voicemails as part of a series called Rock Hard Call Us, which we haven't done in a bit. The submissions have slowed down, so we haven't really built up a backlog enough to do another episode. So if you want another episode of Rock Hard Call Us, call in right now. Give us the content, and we'll give you the content. It's a cycle. But those episodes are available at patreon.com/rockhardcaucus, as well as episodes of Dough Brain Book Club, of which there was one new one this week, and episodes of Speed Freak Read Speak, which there will be a new one of in a couple days. Lots of stuff at patreon.com/rockhardcaucus. Support us in our continued mission to, what's the mission? What's our mission statement?
Make podcast, talk about stuff that's happening in Iowa. Also, we're not taking any money from that Democrat-backed dark money group. We're fully Patreon funded.
They were getting like $8,000 a month, and that
at
would
the
be
highest tier. We're making
really?
less
Okay.
money than the lowest tier, which is like $250 a month. So
right. Okay, and the stuff we're making has more genuine value to it, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
We're not just like shilling for the Democratic Party, we're not defending Israel, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. No one's telling us what to say.
No.
But if you subscribe at like $500 or something, then
then you can tell us
maybe we'll listen to you.
Yeah. All right, closing out with some local music. If you make music, you would like us to hear it, you'd like us to play it on the show, please go to rockhardcock.us, our website. There is a link near the top to submit music. And since I'm playing with Lou Sherry this week, I thought I should play another Lou Sherry song. This is their song Busy, which you can find on their only album that's been released, which is called More Now Than Then, which you can find at dentalrecords.bandcamp.com. This is their song Busy. I don't know if they're going to play Busy on Friday, but it's not part of the set that I'm playing. So you might get to see this live. It's a gamble. A free gamble. It's a free show. If they don't play Busy, I'm sorry. Bye.
Bye.